Every old family home holds its secret. Some whispers through creaking floorboards. Some linger in shadows only outsiders can feel. But what if your childhood kampong house wasn't just a place of memories, but a place watched over by something ancient, something inherited? Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I'll take you to a house in Masjid Tanah, Melaka. A house that's more than wood and stone. A house said to be guarded by the presence tied to our bloodline, where visitors see all sorts of different entities at that very house. For us, it always has been home, but for others, it was a nightmare. Good evening, fellow creeps. Welcome to another episode here on Creepy with Coffee. I'm Kim, your storyteller. Before we get into tonight's story, like usual, if you have yet to do so, please help me like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Now, let's get on to the story.
This is Creepy with Coffee.
Today's story is titled The Guardian of the Village House. Now, based on that title, the village house is what our family calls it. Our ancestral home in Masjid Tanah, Melaka. But we live in Kuala Lumpur. That house has long been left behind, only used when there is a big event like Raya, family gatherings, or whenever we feel the occasions fit. I've always loved returning to that kampong house or village house. The surroundings still hold a traditional rustic charm. It's far from the chaos of the city, facing wide paddy field, and yes, it still has a functioning well. We still use it for bathing and for other purposes as well. The house sits in the middle of the kampong. Along a path, people take a move in and out of the village. Neighboring houses stand about 100 meters away, so there's a distance between them. The compound itself, it's large. You can easily park up to 10 cars at least. The house is built half in stone, half in wood. Not just any wood, strong timber that bends nails instead of breaking. If I could show you a picture of our village home, I'm sure you'd be envious. So now you can picture the atmosphere. Let me tell you about its guardian. This is based on my mother's stories. Originally, the house belonged to my great-grandmother. She was the village midwife, and as you know, midwives in the old days weren't ordinary people. My great-grandmother lived to an old age, but she was still strong. She could walk unaided, didn't need a cane, and her teeth were full and firm. And I always remember this, according to my mother, she always had betel nuts in her mouth. When I was little, I once begged her to prepare some for me. My lips turned bright orange red, and my teacher scolded me at school asking, "Why am I wearing lipstick?" Now, like many other old folks in kampong, many of them kept a guardian, or more commonly known as Saka. And my great-grandmother had one too. But let me explain. Towards the end of her life, she dismissed it. When I asked my parents, my mother said she released it into the sea. Though I never asked which one. Was it Pangkalan Bala or Tanjung Bidara? I honestly don't know. Why did people of old keep a guardian? According to my mother, it was to help with their daily work. My great-grandmother, despite her beauty, wasn't a woman who simply stayed at home looking pretty. She worked in the rice field, tended buffalo, delivered babies, and raised children. All those works for just one woman. She needed strength, and that guardian, Saka, gave it to her. But here's the twist. Though she cast it away before she died, the Saka somehow passed on. It manifested as an ancient elderly woman, and it moved to my grandmother. God knows how it returned, but it did. I remember vividly back when I was still in school. My grandmother felt ill, weak, aching, feverish. She cried and begged to be massaged. My mother would massage her until she fell asleep. But an hour later, she began to rant, delirious, no longer herself, screaming and struggling, trying to run into the darkness. Imagine 3 grown men unable to restrain a 70-year-old woman. That was how strong she became when the Saka took over. When my mother confronted it, "Why are you here?" my grandmother's lips spoke words that weren't hers.
It's been a long time since I came, child. Your grandmother is unwell. Why didn't you take care of her?
When the Saka possessed her, her body would bend and twist like an old hunchback witch from children's tales. Obviously doesn't feel or even look like how my grandma's normal posture would be. And whenever it appears, it's always a sign, which is a sad one, because soon someone close, family, a friend, would pass away. We always brush it off as coincidence, for only Allah knows the truth. Now, I want to be clear. I'm not boasting, but this Saka never disturbed my family. My mother had cared for my grandmother since she was young, and maybe because of that bond, we were spared. I've never felt fear nor seen strange apparitions in that particular house. For us, the place has always been peaceful, which is why I love going back to that house. But it's different for my uncles and aunties. To them, the house always feels heavy, terrifying. They would come back with stories. Villagers walking past after evening prayers at the most claim to see a Pocong sitting on the veranda or a Pontianak perched on the roof. We, however, never saw such things. My mother simply says, yeah, maybe it's true, but she herself never encountered them. Perhaps we were being protected. Still, others weren't so lucky. My uncle once decided to sleep on the veranda. It's the coolest, breeziest spot in the whole house. One night, while he was asleep, suddenly he felt the veranda shaking as though something heavy had landed on the veranda. He woke up just to see what's happening, only to see a figure of a corpse wrapped in a burial shroud, its face a gaping black void standing near his feet. He fell into a fever and swore never again to sleep outside. Even now, whenever we cousins try to sleep on the veranda, he will shoo us away and retreats to the stone house opposite instead. Then there is my cousin, who studied at UiTM Alor Gajah, just nearby. He asked if we could bring some friends over to stay the night. We didn't mind, at least some people at the house when it's left empty, and furthermore, it's fully equipped, spacious, perfect for students to barbecue and hang out late into the night. That night, one of his friends went to the toilet alone. Back then, the toilet was outside, but later it was moved indoors near the kitchen. Its roof was made of translucent zinc, so you can see whatever is outside the sky most of the time. Sometimes monkeys would peek inside. Once, I screamed in horror because of a monitor lizard was spying on me. I nearly had a heart attack seeing the lizard on top of the roof looking at me. Anyway, his friend went in, unsuspecting, while the others were busy talking in the living room. Being a young man, he didn't want to ask for company. He said halfway through, out of nowhere, his hair stood on end. It wasn't like there was a breeze or something that blew past him, and something made him glance upward. When he did, there it was. A grotesque, hideous face peering down at him. The poor boy was so shaken he fell ill for 2 days. He couldn't even describe what he had seen. He just said a hideous face. As for me, I can only listen and sympathize, because in that house, nothing ever happened to us. To me, the only frightening creature in the entire village was that monitor lizard. My mother once told me maybe the guardian knows us, recognizes we take care of our grandmother, so it never disturbs us. Outsiders, though, maybe it was just trying to introduce itself, unfortunately, not in the friendliest way. I just pray that it never decides to pick in on me one day. There are many other strange happenings, but they've always been experienced by others, never my family. Strange sounds, apparitions, whispers, things most people would call hauntings. But for us, it's simply home. And well, that is the story of a guardian in a village house. A home that feels safe to those who belong to it, yet terrifying for those who don't. Personally, I think it's fascinating how a place can feel completely normal to one family, but at the same time strike a fear in another family. But then again, if we go back to how Saka works, usually it will always appear terrifying to people that doesn't own it. But to its owner, sometimes owner will always say that it's just like another companion. So what do you think about tonight's story? Have you heard of any Saka stories similar to like this one? Leave it down below in the comments. I would love to hear anything that you wanted to say about the story or any nice words. Well, that's all for tonight. Thanks for listening. I'm Kim. This is Creepy with Coffee and good night.